The system chose me and two other girls. Before we crossed over, the system allowed us to choose our skills. Little Red chose to become beautiful, Little White chose to become strong. While I was hesitating, I suddenly sneezed, and so I chose Pervert. Me, can I choose again? System, host, rest assured, each skill is very useful. Does host have any questions? I said, first of all, I'm not teasing you guys. Before I could finish, we were kicked into the book. After a moment of dizziness, I slowly woke up. Can anyone tell me why we're hanging upside down in the main hall like this? On the throne of the main hall, a cold man, his whole body filled with evil, wearing red clothes, with long black hair hanging down. This appearance seems to be the great villain Ma Tun Tu Trong in the book. We are now, could it be the 23rd scene, when Ma Tun chooses the maid in the palace? We are the insiders of the Huinmon sect, infiltrate here, then get discovered and interrogated? Oh my god, I remember in this scene all the characters are killed. Xiao Hong and Xiao Bai, who are hanging on the side, have not yet received the plot, only to see Xiao Trong wave his hand, a bull-faced man with a whip us. Little Hong's face is full of tears, hoo. Little Bai is majestic, if you are so good, then let me down to duel. Me? How comfortable, Little Hong. Little Bai. Bull-faced. The bull-faced man secretly took a step back. I couldn't cry, I didn't want to, but I'm a pervert. Perhaps Xiao Bai's words worked. Xiao Zhong ordered us to be put down, then he walked barefoot, slowly walking towards us step by step. His voice was hoarse, you dare to invade my demon palace, so be prepared. The Xianmen sect sent 3 gifts, I will definitely kill you beautifully and send them back. Xiao Bai whispered, don't we have skills? Use them. After speaking, Xiao Hong stepped forward, one step unsteady, weakly falling into the arms of the demon lord, intending to use her beauty to conquer him. Xiao Zhong immediately waved his hand and threw her out, feed her to the monster fish. Xiao Bai angrily rushed forward and used force, but was immediately strangled by Xiao Zhong, to be fertilizer. I quietly asked the system, what will happen if I die? System, you are already dead in the real world, if you die in this book you will just disappear, but if you complete the mission, influence the demon lord, save all living beings, you will have a chance to be reborn. Xiao Zhong looked at me from above, humph, what are you thinking again? I trembled, really have to say it? If you don't say it, I will kill you immediately. Your legs are so white, so soft. I couldn't help but sniff. This damn system, I only think about it in my head, I really don't want to say it out loud. The naked eye could see, Xiao Zhong retracted his leg into his robe. Immediately after that, he angrily roared, cut her into 8 pieces. I quickly hugged his leg, Ma Tun. I'm not a spy, I came here to surrender. I'm really fed up with the righteous people, I see you handsome and dashing, with extraordinary temperament, you are the one who is at the top of the world. Xiao Zhong sneered, handsome and dashing? Even when killing people, handsome and dashing? Me? No, when not wearing clothes. Xiao Zhong. My damn mouth. Xiao Zhong grabbed my chin, you said you want to surrender, then prove it. Proving that I'm not on the side of the righteous faction, this is easy. I opened my mouth to curse the ancestors and descendants of the sects, using all the vulgar words I know. I cursed until Xiao Zhong frowned. The bullhead patted my shoulder emotionally, stop cursing, it's too vulgar, I can't stand to listen anymore. Luckily I managed to keep my life, Xiao Zhong said he kept me because he still needed me, and so I was thrown into the chore room. I was so tired, I fell asleep immediately when I woke up. I had turned into a white cat. I said, system, explain. System, this is your skill, shape-shifting. Pervert, so that's what it is. That's not right. Then what about my perverted words? System was silent for a long time. That's just your nature. Don't say anymore. He even cursed more vulgarly than me. Taking advantage of the darkness, I stretched out my cat body and strolled around the demon temple. This book was about the main character, the eldest disciple of the Xianmen sect, a typical story about cultivating, fighting monsters, and recruiting a harem in a male concubine novel. I was just a cannon fodder, a bit handsome, but before I even entered the male lead's harem, I was killed as a spy. As for the great villain Xiao Zhong, the book described him as an innocent person with a vicious heart. But I noticed something important, a strong body and six-pack abs. I couldn't help but go take a look. When I climbed onto Xiao Zhong's roof, I slowly realized. It turned out that I was really a pervert. Just because of this thought, I accidentally slipped. A strong force suddenly grabbed my neck, pulling me down. After a whirlwind of heaven and earth, I fell into the water. Meow. I let out a miserable cry, and jumped out of the water, seeing two solid chest muscles. My gaze moved up, and it was Xiao Zhong's gaze. Cat? A low-level monster hurriedly rolled in. Ghost, demon lord, spare my life, I will deal with this beast right away. He wanted to catch me. I struggled desperately, and jumped into the water again, intending to kick the bottom of the lake, rushing up. But I didn't expect to kick the wrong place. I only heard a groan. My entire cat body was lifted up again. Oh my. My cat, I have to take a bath. Xiao Zhong's face was a little painful, as if he was trying to suppress something. The little demon beside him didn't dare to breathe too loudly. In this heavy atmosphere, I used my little pink claws to start stomping on Xiao Zhong's chest. Meow, do you think this is a death struggle? How naive. A cute little cat that's bursting. So cute. You could kill it? Impossible, absolutely impossible. But then again, it felt really good. I stared at the place where the claw was stepping. A drop of saliva flowed down. I stretched out my claw to catch it but couldn't catch it in time. The drop fell onto Xiao Zhong's hand. Let's eat meat tonight. Don't. Xiao Zhong was about to give me to the little demon. I immediately hugged his hand tightly, rubbing it to please him. Sure enough, Xiao Zhong stopped. He squinted at me. This cat seems to have spiritual energy. I nodded repeatedly. You step back, I'll deal with this cat. Once again, I saved my life. Wait. I clung to the door of the granary, refusing to go in. You said dealing with it is to catch mice? Before I could protest, I was thrown in. Half an hour later, when I was carried out, holding a mouse in my hand and checking to see if it was male or female, the mouse suddenly transformed, becoming a big man hugging his chest and sobbing. I've never seen such a perverted cat before, too perverted. Xiao Zhong waved his hand, and the mouse spirit ran away from me. Xiao Zhong looked at me thoughtfully. It really is a lynx, the mouse spirit cultivated for 100 years and was infected with your spiritual energy and was able to transform. He chuckled, holding me in his arms. From now on, follow me. Just like that, I, Ngunoyet Bok, from a death row prisoner, was promoted to become the demon lord's pet, and was also given the name Little White by him, then carried back to the room. At night, Xiao Zhong needed to cultivate, so I was put aside. Suddenly, I heard the system remind me, host, this is a good opportunity. You have already approached the demon lord. Now, you just need to gain his trust and influence him, then you can complete the mission. I lazily turned over. Who said I wanted to complete the mission? System, ? Laughing to death. How do you think I died in the real world? I died from overwork. It was already a given that my parents died early when I was young, and when I went to work, my boss forced me like a dog. What did I go back there for? I have thought it over. I will cling to the demon lord's thigh. The demon lord will eat my flesh and drink my soup. The demon lord will kill people and I will give him a knife. When Xiaozhong unifies the world, I will be his first subordinate. No, his subordinate cat. How great! And save the world. Well, whoever wants to save them. The system was probably shocked, silent for a long time, probably discussing countermeasures with his colleagues. While I was still thinking, I suddenly saw Xiaozhong glance at me, then act as if nothing happened and look at me again. What is he going to do? Finally, he made a move. I felt the alarm in my head ring, only to see Xiaozhong walk to me, reach out, then squeeze my round belly. Me. Xiaozhong happily grinned, resolutely picked me up, placed me on his lap and kneaded me. I wanted to say, "Big brother, you're hiding it too well." Finally, he buried his face in my belly and took a breath. Sniff, I like it. At dawn, I suddenly felt uncomfortable, so I quickly climbed out from Xiaozhong's bedside, ran across the roofs and returned to the chore room. Sure enough, the next second, I had returned to my original form. This metamorphosis process was really like the time of menstruation, really perverted. I slept a little longer. When I woke up, the demon house's elf butler had brought the final result of my treatment. Xiaozhong said he wanted to use a trick against a trick, keeping me here to see what the Xianmen sect wanted to do. But the demon palace doesn't keep idle people, so I became his little maid. On the first day of work, I noticed that Xiaozhong was a little restless. I looked down and saw that he was wearing shoes. So I secretly asked the bull-headed guy I had met before, "What's wrong with the demon lord? Why are you suddenly wearing shoes?" Bull-headed, tell me? Me, it's just wearing shoes. Is there a need to be so sad? Bull-headed, I'm sad because the pet the demon lord just received yesterday is gone when he woke up this morning. He sent someone to look for it. TSK, he's about to burst out laughing. I held back my laughter and asked, "Is this cat very important?" Of course. Xiaozhong glanced over. How did you know it was a cat? I raised my hand and slapped the bull head. He just let it slip. Didn't you hear, demon lord? I told you a long time ago, he's not active in his work, his thinking is problematic, he's the one who constantly pulls me to chat. TSK, isn't this showing that he doesn't care about you, demon lord? The bull head was pulled out, his eyes still fixed on me. I sympathetically raised a middle finger at him. Your grandmother, you think I've forgotten about the hit yesterday? I'm very vengeful. Xiaozhong frowned. I quickly flattered him, "Demon lord, don't worry, leave this cat to me, I've had a natural talent since I was young, I can talk to cats, I'll tell it to come back obediently tonight." Xiaozhong was half believing. I nodded in affirmation. Anyway, I had no other choice, perhaps due to the system's limitations, I could only transform into a cat at night. Finally, I waited until the sun set. Before it was time to transform into a cat, I sneaked into Xiaozhong's bedroom. Xiaozhong was still discussing things with the demon generals. I had nothing to do, so I stood in front of the mirror in his room and started admiring my beauty. I have to say, this face really suits my aesthetic taste. Just admiring it wasn't enough, I also posed, raised my tail, put my hands on my hips, and just as I was twisting, I turned my head, facing a graceful and charming beauty. She glared at me. I looked back at the mirror. I had transformed into a white cat. The beauty exclaimed in surprise, "Where did you come from, a demon? Do you know the past and the future?" I understand, this is the person who came to use beauty tricks on Xiaozhong. Before I finished speaking, Xiaozhong had already entered the room. I immediately threw myself into his arms. Meow. I rubbed my head against his neck, pretending to be frightened. Xiaozhong reassured me, then coldly looked at the beauty. "Who allowed you to enter my room?" As soon as I finished speaking, two other demons stepped in and dragged the beauty out. The beauty unwillingly pointed at me, leaving a sentence, "Fuck. This cat is even more of a fox spirit than this old lady." I shrank in Xiao Zhong's arms, sobbing softly. Xiao Zhong seemed to be tickled by my rubbing, chuckled twice, and grabbed the flesh behind my neck. "Where did you go today?" I had nothing more to say. As a demon lord, how could I be so gentle? At night, I rolled around on Xiao Zhong's abs, rubbing here, rubbing there, as if I had reached the peak of my life. Reality proves that a hardworking person cannot do two jobs at the same time, otherwise he will be mentally disturbed, just like me. That day, I was serving Xiao Zhong in his cultivation, and finally a cycle ended. Xiao Zhong was sweating profusely, reaching out for water. I was sleepy, thinking I was still a cat, so I licked him. The world suddenly became quiet. I immediately woke up. The demon lord stiffly said, "You have 2 seconds to explain." Me, "It's a bit sweet, I haven't tasted it yet, let me try again." The next second, I was sent flying. After that, I was locked in the dungeon. The dungeon was sealed, even cats couldn't get out. I decided to give up. A few days later, I was released. It was so funny, no one paid any attention to me, the entire demon hall was in chaos. I casually caught a butterfly that was running around in the yard. What's wrong? Did someone attack the demon palace? It's much more serious. The demon lord's beloved pet has been missing for many days, and now both demons and ghosts are looking for cats. The corners of my mouth involuntarily curled up. Look at my charm. At night, I transformed into a white cat again, and walked into Xiao Zhong's room, brazenly lying on his bed. Xiao Zhong walked in from outside the door, and when he saw me, he was stunned. As if he was afraid that I would run away, he slowly walked over, touched my belly, and softly said, "I thought even you were afraid of me, and wanted to run away from this place." I used my tail to sweep his waist. But because I was imprisoned in the dungeon for several days, I decided to be cold to him. I kept my arrogant attitude all night long, not letting him pet me. Xiao Zhong was extremely confused. The next day, I explained, "What does Xiao Bai want to eat?" Xiao Zhong, "What?" Hamlet, braised pork, sweet and sour fish, steamed lamb, steamed bear paw, steamed deer tail, roast duck, roast chicken, roast goose, stewed pork, stewed duck, braised chicken, dried meat, sausage, dried pork floss, dried meat, Chinese sausage, all kinds of cakes. Xiao Zhong looked at me coldly. 5 months white, are you sure this is what he wants to eat? I nodded confidently, 1,000 times sure. That night, I had the most sumptuous meal since I transmigrated into the book. As a result, the next day I burped in front of Xiao Zhong. Xiao Zhong propped his head up and looked at me, his eyes darkening. What's wrong? Is my burping posture very seductive? So I burped again in front of Xiao Zhong. Very good, I went to the dungeon again. This time I was only locked up for a day and a night before being released. Xiao Zhong acted as if nothing had happened, continuing to keep me by his side to serve him, and hugging me to sleep at night. What a scary habit. After sleeping for a long time, even with my eyes closed, I could still accurately touch Xiao Zhong's left third abdominal muscle. My fairy life in the demon palace was finally disrupted when an uninvited guest arrived. The person who came was the demon lord, the second in command of the demon world, who had some conflicts with Xiao Zhong. I remembered in the book that Xiao Zhong was defeated miserably because of his betrayal. Xiao Zhong did things with a good face, and even held a banquet to entertain him, but the demon lord clearly came to cause trouble, and in the middle of the banquet, he even took off his shirt to show off his magic weapon, directly destroying Xiao Zhong's yard. Finally, he shook his 2 chest muscles. What do you think, demon lord? My eyes. Even I, a pervert, find you very perverted. Xiao Zhong didn't even look at him. You bai, what do you think? He suddenly asked me. I was stunned, then sincerely said, I see, your chest muscles are not as well trained as our demon lord. Those chest muscles, didn't I say? Cough. Very good, very good, your toilet is very good. The demon roared, this is a first-class magic weapon, the meteor hammer. Perhaps because I made him lose face, the demon repeatedly made things difficult for me, and in the end, he even forced me to go up on stage to dance. I wanted to try it out, but unexpectedly Xiao Zhong grabbed my hand. He frowned, very unhappy. This deity has allowed you to leave? I was unsure. What does the demon lord mean? Xiao Zhong, not allowed. Yes. When the demon lord left, he was unhappy, and left behind a sentence, Xiao Zhong, you are arrogant and complacent, sooner or later you will regret it. The classic NPC prophecy replayed. I began to realize, even if I did nothing, the plot in the book would continue. And the next key detail was, the female lead Ling Yunlan came to the demon palace. The demon lord fell in love at first sight, using force to take over. I looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. Is the system here? The system, which had been silent for a long time, finally spoke. Host, have you thought it through? No, I just wanted to tell you something. I specially sent a % and asterisk message. After scolding, I felt relieved and unilaterally cut off communication. The Mary Sue heroine of this book, Ling Yunlan, chose a clear, cloudless day to make her radiant appearance. She rushed into the demon hall with a sword, questioning Xiao Zhong about what he had to do to release the fellow disciples of the Bai Qing sect that he had captured. At that time, I was standing next to Xiao Zhong holding a tray of fruit, and couldn't help but eat it. Xiao Zhong raised his hand and flicked my forehead. It will make others stupid, do you understand? If I remember correctly, Xiao Zhong had fallen in love with her at first sight. He made a request, asking Ling Yunlan to marry him, and he would release her. I sighed in my heart. The day of monopolizing the demon lord's bed had finally come to an end. Xiao Zhong said according to the script, release them? You agree to one condition. Marry me. Just teach me how to cook fish. I was sure I remembered something wrong. This wasn't like what was written in the book. Xiao Zhong really learned how to cook fish, and he even cooked it for me. That night, looking at the slightly burnt fish on the table, I felt extremely complicated. Before, I seemed to have accidentally said in front of Xiao Zhong, the book says that Bai Qing sect's fish cooking technique is amazing, I really want to try it. Who would have thought? Xiao Zhong went to school for me. He even arrogantly snorted, just cooking fish, easy as turning your hand. Then he pushed the plate of fish towards me. I lowered my head and took a bite. It's very delicious, don't cook it again next time. Not long after Ling Yunlan left, the system informed me of a piece of news. The seal of the ancient heroic sword Han Tianjian was about to be broken. The sects would send elites to seize the sword. Once they got it, they would go to the demon palace to attack Xiao Zhong. I remembered, Han Tianjian was Xiao Zhong's natural nemesis. No, my good days had just begun. Xiao Zhong absolutely could not die. The best way was to strike first to gain the upper hand. So I started to incite Xiao Zhong to go and rob Han Tianjian. He lazily raised his eyes and looked at me. Reason. Han Tianjian is the world's treasure, demon lord, don't you want it? No. With Han Tianjian, you can unify the three worlds. Not interested. Xiao Bai said he wanted to take a walk in the human world. Pack your bags. A beauty, am I not even as good as a cat? I am jealous of myself. The place where the Han Tianjian is sealed is in the human world. Xiao Zhong said it was not convenient to make a fuss, only leading Xiao Bai on the journey at night. That's right, he didn't intend to take me with him at all, right? Smiling slightly. The anger made me secretly use my claws to scratch his abs. His voice was hoarse, "Don't play around." My cat face turned red. "But I am a cat, why do I need face?" So I rubbed against him for a while and then licked him. Xiaozhong clearly stiffened, his body temperature increased, he grabbed my neck through the layer of clothes, his voice even more hoarse, "Xiaobai, don't play around." Impossible. Having come to the human world, naturally I had to stay in a mortal place. That night, Xiaozhong found an inn and threw me into the room, not knowing where to go. He returned at midnight, his body filled with cold air. I was sleeping soundly, suddenly I was embraced in cold arms, unconsciously wanted to push away, but was held tight and could not escape. When the sky was bright, I felt hot, tossed and turned, my forehead accidentally brushed against Xiaozhong's lips. Forehead. Forehead? I had turned into a human. Where were my clothes? Oh my God, I forgot. If Xiaozhong found out, wouldn't he immediately kill me? Xiaozhong had just turned over, I tiptoed out of his arms, wrapped myself in his robe, and sneaked out. Halfway there, I suddenly stopped. It seems like Xiaozhong just smiled. Looking again. No, I must be mistaken. When Xiaozhong woke up, I pretended to appear in front of him by chance. It's like this, yesterday Xiaobai appeared in my dream, saying that he couldn't live without me, so I came here. Xiaozhong leisurely looked at me, a dream? Besides that, what else did you dream about? I thought for a moment, then held up 8 fingers, 8 salt abs. Shut up, follow me out. 6. We went to the place where the Han Tianjian was sealed to secretly observe, only to see that around the sword pit there were already quite a few immortal disciples, probably waiting for the day the seal loosened to seize the sword. Xiaozhong waved his hand, I received the order and rushed out, loudly, "Everyone put down your weapons. You are surrounded." The whole school was silent. Xiaozhong, I mean go. Then you say it straight out. But it was too late, the disciples of the Xianmen sect recognized me. Junior sister Yubai. You're still alive. Junior sister Yubai, were you forced? Don't be afraid. The senior brothers will save you. Devil, let my junior sister go. They rushed in, Xiaozhong stood behind me, raised his hand, and immediately formed a seal to stop them from leaving the magic formation. He curled his lips, looked at me, "I'll give you a chance to leave." Before he could finish speaking, I hugged his waist tightly, hug. Taking advantage of his words, I am a person who acts by appearances, just hug the most beautiful person. Xiaozhong chuckled, hugged me and formed a hand seal. In the blink of an eye, we appeared in the human market. I lowered my head to look, Xiaozhong was still holding my hand, seemingly with no intention of letting go. I was dragged by him to stroll around the market. When we reached a hidden corner, he suddenly stopped, "They are chasing after me." He let me go, "You wait here for me, I will be back soon." After saying that, Xiaozhong disappeared on the spot. A few minutes later, looking at the dozen or so disciples of the Xianmen sect in front of me, I felt a bit complicated. The leading man had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, looking at me worriedly. "Don't worry, junior sister, that devil was lured away by us. Yun Lan said that she saw you enslaved in the demon temple. The senior brothers are all very angry." I looked at the natural halo that radiated from behind him, and had a bad feeling. "Who are you?" That person was surprised. The person beside him quickly said, "Junior sister Yubai, this is the eldest senior brother. It really is you, the male protagonist who defies the heavens, Chang Feng." The main character's halo was so dazzling, it made me cry. Chang Feng grabbed my hand, "Junior sister, don't cry, now no one can bully you anymore." After saying that, regardless of everything, he pulled me back to the Xianmen sect. I don't like the Xianmen sect. Why? I still have to ask why. The food here is so bland that it's disgusting. I have to wake up at 5 in the morning and go to bed at 9 at night. More importantly, they all wore conservative clothing, we couldn't see any abs. Sleeping in the same bed with Xiao Zhong for a long time, not being able to feel my abs, I can't sleep. I wonder if he's looking for me, probably not, he's probably looking for his cat. Sigh, so jealous. Anyway, I can't sleep, I'm currently in cat form, so I jumped onto the sect master's roof. Today, I saw a mirror in his room, and it can also project images, let's take a look. I crept into the secret room in his room, the mirror was covered by a green cloth, I used my claws to pull it open, only to see 3 words engraved on the mirror, Qian Chen Mirror. I remembered, in the book it was described, Xianmen sect has a magic treasure called a Qian Chen Mirror, it can see other people's past. I entered Xiao Zhong's name, the mirror's surface flashed, revealing the image of a little beggar. Snow was falling heavily, the little beggar's clothes were in tatters, fighting with a fierce dog, surrounded by a group of people clapping and laughing happily. The little beggar finally won, snatched half the bun from the dog's mouth, and hurriedly ran into the ruined temple. In the corner of the temple, there was a little girl huddled, her face pale, shivering from the cold, holding a skinny white cat in her arms. The little beggar immediately hugged her, bringing the bun to her mouth. Little sister, big brother brought you food, wake up quickly. The little girl whispered, big brother, eat by yourself, I'm so sleepy. Don't sleep. I'll go find a doctor for you, I'll go now. The little beggar staggered out, but was stopped outside the medical clinic. The waiter chewed on melon seeds and said, your little sister, I don't think she can be saved anymore, I have some medicinal residue, do you need it? Need it. I need it. The little beggar kowtowed hard to the waiter several times, his head bleeding, before he could exchange it for a bowl of medicinal residue. But when he carried the bowl of medicine back to the temple, he smelled a strong aroma of meat at the door. A group of beggars were lighting a fire in front of the temple, not knowing what kind of meat they were cooking. The little beggar ran inside and found that his little sister had disappeared, and the cat was gone, but his little sister's clothes were still stained with blood and were thrown by the well, with a cat skin beside them. The little beggar charged towards the group of people like crazy. I couldn't watch the rest, I only saw that in the end, the little beggar was desperate. In the snowy winter sky, he sacrificed himself to all the vengeful spirits in the world. I want to become the most evil person in the world. I want no one to dare to look down on me again. It turns out that the devil wasn't a devil from the start. It turns out that people's hearts aren't born evil. After watching, I stood on the roof, my heart filled with 100 thoughts. I really wanted to hug Xiao Zhong, this time I didn't touch his abs, I just hugged him. Suddenly, the sect's alarm bell rang, someone shouted loudly, the devil lord is attacking. I only saw that person wearing red clothes, black hair fluttering in the wind, arrogantly waving his hand and sending several disciples flying. The sect master held the magic weapon and stood at the head, Xiao Zhong. Don't push people too far. Xiao Zhong coldly looked at him, give me back my cat. What cat? Meow. I was dancing on the roof, trying my best to attract attention. Xiao Zhong finally saw me, just slightly raised my hand, I was immediately hugged into his arms. I rolled around in his arms, rubbing, sticking tightly. I returned to the inn with Xiao Zhong, only then did I discover that he was injured. That's right, the Xianmen sect had 72 mountain gates, he rushed through them one by one, it was impossible for him not to be injured. He sat on the bed to regulate his breathing, I lay in his arms and stomped. I accidentally fell asleep again. The next morning I woke up, I was a living person, naked, lying in Xiao Zhong's arms. Once born twice, I got used to it, this time I was no longer panicked, just lazily turned over. Anyway, Xiao Zhong woke up late, so I slept a little longer. It seemed like he was awake, his hands were still playing around. I grabbed Xiaozhong's hand, my face was red, and I stammered, that. I was sleepwalking, I hope you will forgive me. After saying that, I was about to sit up, but Xiaozhong pulled me back, my lips touched his, so he took the opportunity to kiss me. I only felt my body temperature rise. So I kissed back. Xiaozhong looked at me. I blurted out, there's no other way, I'm a pervert. He chuckled, pulled the blanket over us, and whispered in my ear, then let me see how perverted you are. You made me, a pervert, lose face. Only later did I realize that when I was sent back to the Xianmen sect in human form, Xiaozhong said he was looking for a cat. Didn't he already know that the cat was me? How exciting! Xiaozhong recuperated for half a month. When he recovered, the seal of the Han Tianjian was finally broken. Xiaozhong's aura was so strong, no one in the immortal sects dared to come forward. I stood by and clapped my hands. As long as Xiaozhong got the sword, I could return with him. Then I touched my abs every day, giggling. But I didn't expect that. As soon as Xiaozhong touched the sword, he was burned by the sword energy. The male lead Changfeng immediately stepped forward, grabbed the hilt of the sword, and the Han Tianjian automatically recognized its owner. Damn it, doesn't the main character's halo know any reason? Xiaozhong and Changfeng exchanged a few moves. Xiaozhong initially had the upper hand, but for some reason, the demonic energy suddenly weakened. Changfeng took the opportunity to stab him in the side with a sword. Xiaozhong looked at me from afar, and I recognized his mouth shape, run. The immortal sects seemed to have prepared themselves, releasing their magic weapons and surrounding Xiaozhong tightly. Devil, you're going to die today. If it weren't for the help of the experts, we wouldn't have known that your vital point was in your side. I rushed forward in panic, but was blocked by their sword energy outside the encirclement. Why? Why did Xiaozhong suddenly become weak? What was the problem? I suddenly thought of something, system. No one answered me. Sure enough, the system had lied to me. It said that my seal on the Han Tianjian was about to loosen, and deliberately told me to lead Xiaozhong out, and also told the immortal sect about Xiaozhong's weak point, so that they could join forces to attack. If Xiaozhong remained in the demon palace, even if the immortal sect obtained the Han Tianjian, it would take at least a year and a half before they could attack. In order to quickly complete the plot, the system cheated. Damn it! Come out and take the scolding. Fortunately, my body still had cultivation. I formed a hand seal to block the sword energy, and walked towards Changfeng, eldest senior brother. Please stop. Changfeng didn't care at all. Junior sister. You're crazy. Even the sect master scolded me. 5 Moon White. You're begging for mercy for the devil. Are you someone who can't tell right from wrong? I tried to hold Thuangfeng's hand tightly, looking at Tu Trong word by word. I am not originally a person of this world. I don't understand what is right and wrong. In my heart there is no such thing as loyalty. I only know that whoever is good to me, I will return it 1,000 times. It's just true love for true love. Tu Trong looked at me blankly. I turned to Changfeng, eldest senior brother. I'll ask you one more time, will you back down? Changfeng coldly said, absolutely not back down. I nodded, then quickly bent down to pull Changfeng's pants. Changfeng was surprised and took 2 steps back. I quickly pulled Xiaozhong and ran away. Thinking about how there were many female cultivators there, suddenly a little guilt towards the male lead appeared in my heart. Sorry, I was born a pervert, I'm very sorry. I brought Xiaozhong back to the demon palace, seeing that he was only hit by a sword in the side, nothing serious, but unexpectedly, his body gradually became transparent. I was immediately panicked. Xiaozhong smiled faintly, it's over. What do you mean? He put his hand around my neck, kissed my lips, his thumb gently caressed my lips. I have done many evil things. I am not sure if there will be a next life. If there is, I will go find you. After saying that, Xiao Zhong disappeared. I only felt my mind go blank. Only then did the system appear. Han Tianjian is his natural curse, his ribs are his weak points, it broke his cultivation method, he is beyond saving. Don't be so quick to curse, host, think about it, isn't this good? You can return home, aren't you happy? I took a deep breath. Help me think of a way, otherwise I will complain to you. System. I'll complain to you once, your achievements in this world will be completely destroyed. I'll give you 3 seconds to think. 3, 2. Can't I say it? Xiao Zhong is not a human, he is the resentment of the world transformed. As long as he has one breath, he will not disappear. I've checked, a trace of resentment has escaped into reincarnation, the 13th year of Heavenly Tao, at the Shao family in Jinyue town, Jiangnan, you go find it yourself. That was the following year. Before shutting down the system, it asked me a question, host, are you sure you won't come back? I was stunned. If you don't come back, the place where my heart is at peace, is my hometown. The 13th year of the Heavenly Tao. This year, I traveled all over the human world, and everywhere I heard that the demonic path was in decline. Now, all the immortal sects were flourishing. As long as they were children with some foundation, they were sent to the immortal sects to become disciples and cultivate. The immortal sects of all sects take the Xianmen sect as the leader. The sect leader Changfeng is a once-in-a-century genius. Since the extermination of the demon lord last year, he has also formed a Taoist partner with the Baiqing sect's true disciple Ling Yunlan, which has made people admire him greatly. I heard that cultivation not only helps one become immortal, but also purifies the spirit sea, and even fools become ordinary people. It was the Shao family at the end of town who said it again, right? How did you know? That family's son was originally a fool. Later, he was sent to the Xianmen sect to be an outer sect disciple. After the new year this year, he suddenly became normal. But he directly withdrew from the mountain gate and returned home, muttering that cultivating immortality is not as good as becoming a demon. I think he was taken over by a demon. You can't just say this casually. I put down my teacup and patted the person who was chatting on the shoulder. Excuse me, how do you get to the Shao family you're talking about? Just go out and turn left, go straight, the last house is there. That person sized me up from top to bottom. Miss, I advise you not to go, that family's son is really a bit evil. I smiled. It's fine, I'm just here to exorcise the demons. It was March, the peach blossoms were in full bloom. I sat on the wall and saw a young man in red clothes and black hair flying in the Shao family's courtyard. I threw a handful of peach blossom petals onto his shoulder. When he looked over, I whistled and said in a flirtatious voice, "Young master, do you have abs? Let me see." He reached out his hand towards me, I jumped down, and was immediately hugged tightly by him. I've been waiting for you for a long time. The 14th year of the Heavenly Tao, we settled down in a small city in the north. Xiao Zhong counted down the days every day, and finally one day, in a ruined temple, he saw that dirty little girl. He stood in front of her, his voice a little choked. She died so tragically back then, she couldn't make it through the cycle of reincarnation. I went over there and saw that she was still lingering around Wangchuan, so I dragged her along. This girl, why is she still a little beggar? I sighed, because her fate is too miserable. Xiao Zhong sat down in front of the little girl. Do you want to go home with me? The little girl's eyes lit up. Big brother? Do you recognize me? The big brother in my dreams looks exactly like you. The little girl looked at me again. Who are you? I snorted arrogantly. I'm your sister-in-law. I called the system again, and after half a month, I really couldn't stand it anymore. System, quickly take back my perverted skill. The system finally responded after a long time. Sorry, it's been too long, may I ask who you are? I gritted my teeth. Pervert.
Ah.
That pervert. I endured. Host wants to give up the skill? Once you give up, you can't regret it. Yes. Give it up. Quickly take it away from me. Being a human during the day and a cat at night, I've really had enough. The night is quiet, everything is quiet, and I'm a cat, only able to touch my abs, unable to do anything else. This is no different from killing me. For my normal life, it's good to not be perverted. After signing the agreement with the system, I felt my body lighten. When I got home that night, I saw that Xiao Zhong still hadn't returned. I waited for a long time, and he finally returned before sunset. He was still holding a bamboo cat nest in his hand. Look, this cat nest is made for you. He seemed very excited. You should try it. Me. So, does he like me or cats in the end? I told him that I wouldn't turn into a cat anymore. He was stunned for a moment, then his eyes immediately lit up. He held me back on the bed, the corner of his mouth smiling. It's already dark. I swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The thing is, the nest you made probably can't be used anymore. It's okay, children can use it too. It seemed to make sense. End.